Well, hey there, and welcome back to Heimlich's History. Now, we've been going through Unit 3 of the AP Government Curriculum, and in this video, it's time to talk about the First Amendment's protection of the freedom of the press. So if you're ready to get them brain cows milked with a high bar for prior restraint, let's get to it. So in this video, here's what we're trying to do. Explain the extent to which the Supreme Court's interpretation of the First Amendment reflects a commitment to individual liberty. So along with the other protections of the First Amendment, the freedom of the press is one of the keystones to a free society. In fact, it was our old friend anti-federalist George Mason who said, "The freedom of the press is one of the greatest bulwarks of liberty and can never be restrained but by despotic government." And Mr. Mason was absolutely correct on this count. In a society in which the power to govern is in the hands of we the people, we must have a free press in order to report to us what our elected government officials are doing so that we can keep them accountable if they end up making a turd sandwich out of our political will. Even so, just like every other liberty we have considered, the right to a free press is not absolute, and this liberty must be balanced with other liberties. For example, we must balance the right to a free press with the Sixth Amendment right to a fair trial, which may necessitate keeping certain details out of the press. Or, more to the point for this video, when does the concern for national security necessitate the silencing of the press? That last concern has a term for it that you should know, and it's called prior restraint, and the definition is all bound up in the term itself. If a government is going to exercise prior restraint over the press, that means it seeks to restrain a story prior to its publication. And when you hear that, it sounds just like what George Mason warned us about. If the government can restrain the press in that way, then the people are left in the dark as to what their government is up to. Which is why the standard for prior restraint has been set very high by the Supreme Court. And as an example of that, let's talk about one of your required cases, New York Times v. the United States in 1971. So if you know your dates for U.S. history, you'll know that this is right in the midst of the Vietnam War. And this war was, to put it mildly, contentious on the home front. Well, as it turned out, a big stack of classified documents known as the Pentagon Papers were leaked to the New York Times and the Washington Post, and those papers demonstrated pretty clearly that the president had lied both to the people and Congress about the war. So President Richard Nixon decided to invoke prior restraint on the publication of these papers on account of the protection of our national security. Well, the court ruled that the freedom of the press was more important in this case than Nixon's vague claim about national security. Like, at the end of the day, Nixon really wasn't concerned about national security. He was actually concerned about how the Pentagon Papers would tarnish his and Lyndon Johnson's reputation. And so in this case, the court established a heavy presumption against prior restraint. In other words, if the government is going to censor the press, it has to be incredibly clear that a real and imminent threat is being prevented, and in most free press cases that come before the Supreme Court, that high bar is never cleared. Okay, that's what you need to know about Unit 3, Topic 4. You can click right here to grab a view packet if you want help getting an A in your class and a 5 on your exam in May, and I will enact no prior restraint to clicking that subscribe button if you want to send me the message to keep making these videos. Heimler out.